Hey there, fellow pioneers. This is a Flicker from Beyond, and today what I'd like to demonstrate to you is what I consider possibly one of the most overpowered blueprints in this game. And what we're using for that overpowered blueprint are copper alloy ingots. I know, copper alloy, yuck. But let me just show you why this build is overpowered. And that's because what it can spit out is 4,500 copper ingots per minute. Let me say that again, 4,500 copper ingots per minute. It's crazy. So let's load that up. So what this build has, it's 3 levels with 6 foundries per level. Each foundry is overclocked to 250%. And per floor, or rather per row, if you have three foundries producing 250 copper ingots per minute, that means we get 750 copper ingots per row. There's 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows times 720 is, let's do that. Sorry, 6 rows times 750 is 4,500. Actually, I just kind of removed that too quickly. So 6 rows times 40 times 750 copper ingots is 4,500 copper ingots in this entire system. And so how this works is it would be inputting 3 rows, or sorry, 3 lines, 1, 2, 3 lines of 750 copper ore per minute, and 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, again, of 375 iron ore per minute. And just to kind of quickly demonstrate here, doing the math, each machine takes in 125 copper ore per minute, and then there's going to be 6 machines per floor, so 125 times 6 is 750, and again, it was 67.5. Was it 67.5? 62.5. 62.5, excuse me. So we're gonna do 62.5 is 375 iron ore per minute coming into the system. Across 6 machines is 375 per floor. So this is obviously not the most efficient in terms of copper use. Firstly, we're using a 750 line instead of a 780 line of copper ore to be produced. Also, we're using the copper alloy ingot recipe, which has a lower copper ore to copper ingot yield than the pure copper ingot recipe. And I'm just actually bring that up. Copper. I shouldn't have named these copper ingots. Anyways, the yield in this pure pure copper recipe is going to be 15 to 37.5. So if we want to simplify that, we're just going to have to divide 37.5 by 37.5 by 15, and you get 2.5. So the yield with the pure copper ingot recipe from ore to ingot, from copper ore to copper ingot specifically, is 2.5. Whereas in this alloy recipe, it's just 2. So you are sacrificing some of that yield efficiency. But on the other hand, let's consider the amount of time it would take to set up a pure copper ingot, I guess, factory. So let's bring up the copper ingot as well again. Now we look at the how much is produced per machine. It's 37.5 copper ingots per minute. And what we know is that we can fit 3 refineries within the blueprint system. So within a single blueprint, if you are just working at 100% clock rate, you'll be able to spit out 112.5 copper ingots per minute. And if you are overclocking, it's 281.25 copper ingots per minute from one blueprint. That's a huge, huge difference from 4,500 copper ingots per minute. Yes, you are sacrificing some yield, but you are saving on not just time, but space. Obviously, space isn't a big concern in this game. You have, like, all the space in the world, in the game world, like, quite literally, to build. But I think the biggest benefit of this build is just the time. You plop this one thing down, you put 3 belts in, 6 belts out, sorry, 6 belts in, 6 belts out, and you have 4,500 copper ingots per minute. It's absolutely ridiculous. Also, there's another thing. It's the power savings. So, obviously, a foundry requires far less power. A single foundry requires far less power than a single refinery, and so it has such a low impact on your power grid, and you're getting so much out of it. It's ridiculous. But if some of you are just absolutely persistent and you just need to make sure that you use a 780 line instead of a 750 line of copper ore, I do have a solution for you here. I'm going to clear the designer. I'm going to load my blueprint. I have a 1560 copper ingot per minute solution here. So I'm going to load that up. And what this system is, as you can see, it's virtually identical to the previous system. The big difference is that there are no power shards in the system. There's no overclocking being done. In fact, there's some underclocking. So let me just quickly do some of the math here for you. So each floor, again, 6 foundries per floor, would take in 50 copper ore per minute and 25 iron ore per minute. That's true for these 2 floors. This floor and this floor, all the machines are set to 100% clock speed. Whereas with the top floor, what we have is some underclocking set to 60% clock rate. And at 60% clock rate, a machine takes in 30 copper ore per minute. So if we have 6 machines on the top floor taking 30 copper, not 9, sorry, 6 taking 30 ore per minute, plus the bottom 2 floors, which include 12 foundries that take 50 copper ore per minute, you have a total of 780 copper ore per minute coming into this blueprint. And then as a result, we have 100 copper ingots per machine on the bottom 2 floors, and then we have 60 copper ingots on the top. So what we do is 60 times 6 again, and then we add the 12 times 100. And close the bracket, and we get 1560 copper ingots out per minute. Again, a highly effective build style, I think. The big problem with this is you can't just stick in like a 780 belt into this particular blueprint and then just expect it to work. I do have some extensions that I have built in order to facilitate that. So I'm going to clear designer here. I'm going to actually take all of this, and I'm going to just quickly demonstrate here our blueprint. And here we can throw down a 4x4 foundation grid, get our base in place. Haha, I'm a poet, I didn't even know it. Anyways, we're gonna switch from the build mode default, which allows you to sort of freely place your blueprint. By hitting R, we're gonna go into blueprint mode, and we're gonna be placing our blueprint, snapping to our foundational blueprint here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're facing the inputs of the splitters towards us. So that's this way. Perfect. Now we build. And I've actually set up the power quite easily as well. So you can just very simply hook up, the power to here, and that sends power throughout the entire system. I've also made it so you can build these vertically on top of each other. Let me just quickly show that. I do not have the resources at the moment to be able to do that, but as you can see, I can't get a good angle. All these like build resources are in the way. Okay, so right next to Canada Ford, you can see that we have a power nub, and just directly below that below the foundation, we have another power nub. So you can very easily just stack these buildables on top of each other and just very quickly connect the power. But what I want to be showing here is the vertical manifold solution. So in the blueprints, I have ore in extension, so copper ingots 1560 core in extension, ore in extension, and you want to have your blueprint snapping mode on. You want to rotate this. You want to rotate this so the inputs for your splitters are facing the bottom splitters. The inputs of the bottom splitters are facing towards you. So we place that there, and let's give it a look. Perfect. I think there's like a visual, there's a visual glitch I think with these lifts where for some reason this like rubbery sort of like stretchy bit disappears. I don't know if that's going to actually affect the lift. But from my experience, if you do reload your save, those things do show up, so it shouldn't be an issue. I'm just going to fill out this space here a little bit. So that is our splitter, and autosave, yay. So what I would like to show actually is just how easy it is to set it up. Just place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 belts, and then on the other side, what we can do is set up our copper ingots 1560 out extension. And what we want to do here is, if you're actually looking from the top, you want those conveyor holes facing towards the system, and if you're looking down at the bottom, you want those lines facing away from the system. So you press that, build it. Obviously you want blueprint snapping mode on to be able to very easily snap the extension to the build. And then we just very quickly fill out the bottom level here, and what we want to do is we want to connect our belts. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that's correct, 5, 6. So now we have 6 belts on the output side, 6 belts on the input side, and 3 blueprints, 3 clicks for the blueprints. So that's 12 for belts, and 12 belts and 3 blueprint clicks, and that's it for this build. You can put in a 780 line of copper ore, and you spit out 1560 copper ingots out. Very simple, very effective. I think this is gonna potentially solve a lot of late game gripes, late game woes about producing copper ingots, because it's just so easy and so fast. Obviously not the most efficient when it comes to the copper ore to ingot yield, but it's quite good. Now this is a great build for when you're in the late game. The 4500 copper ingot per minute is a great build for when you're in the late game, but what about the earlier game? Like, what about when you just as you unlock just as when you unlock your foundries, and then you want to make use of this sort of build style? What I have actually is an early game version of this, and it's just 1 layer. We're going to load blueprint manifolds. We're going to have our copper ingots 540 per minute, and if we build this, it's the exact same build style. It's just 1 level. The difference here is that we have our machines set to 90%, so 90 times 3. 90 times 3 is going to be 270, so we have 270 line out here, 270 line out on the other side. Times 2 is 540. Let me just quickly show that. 270 times 2 is 540. And then again, very simple. Power here, inputs here, input again is 270 copper ore in and 135 iron ore in, and it's only using Mark III belts. This is so you could make use of this build style in the early game, and if you have multiple pure um, copper ore deposits that you want to make use of, you can just very easily stack this one on top of the other. You just go into here again, make sure blueprint isn't on, blueprint snapping isn't on, but anyways, you can just very quickly like put on another level here, no issue. With the blueprint snapping mode, I think it's because we're within the blueprint itself that the snapping mode doesn't necessarily work, but yeah, those are the three build styles, or the three copper alloy ingot foundry setups that I've produced. I'm going to make them available on the Satisfactory calculator, and yeah, you guys go ham. I hope your concerns with copper ingot production will become a thing of the past. Let me know what you think of these blueprints, leave a comment, and take care. Bye.